Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside. It is the 6th day of July. It's a Friday. And I have my heat pump back. It looks a little different. It's a little thinner and but it's taller. And it is extremely efficient. Only we still slept with the windows open last night. We've kind of gotten used to that now since we haven't had a heat pump for about a week. But it was really nice. It's not quite done. The electrician didn't have the right stuff to do the job with. So not sure why, because all of that was known ahead of time. But, you know, it is what it is with electricians sometimes. Has same issues. The last time 21 years ago, the issue was with the electrician. It didn't pass inspection because the electrician didn't do the job properly. And the guy that did the inspection just vilified him when he was here. It was awful. But it was really stupid mistakes, and the guy was experienced and knew better. So why he chose to, basically half-ass it, I don't know. But this time he did some of the work. The guy did some of the work that he could do, but then I guess they have to order a breaker. I don't know. A special breaker, but that was supposed to have already been ordered. So I don't know what went on there or why, but I guess that part will happen next week. But that's okay. At least I've got air conditioning when I want it, which is nice. Because we're going to have a week of 90s. So that's not going to be fun. Anyway, I don't know about you guys, but whenever somebody's at my house, it's like everything stops, you know. I can't feel real comfortable when people that are working here. It just, I don't know what it is. It just feels like all of life has to stop. So not much got done yesterday. The watering did, but other than that, nothing. I didn't do anything. But the guy did a really good job from the heat pump place. So we're real happy with their work. So that was cool. You don't always get that kind of a positive experience anymore, do you? So, well, let's count 13 and see what the card says for Friday. And I guess for the weekend too. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, well, the Hierophant. It's a card from the Major Arcana. And this is him on his throne. Here you've got the 2 pillars, again, which is a theme, balance. But the 5th card of the Major Arcana, you're looking at change. Only this would probably be changed from within, wouldn't it? The majors are interesting. They're considered soul archetypes. And so basically it's the smaller cards and the court cards are just the day-to-day stuff that we deal with. But the majors are the ones that are basically, you know, that represent the soul's journey and the lessons learned and the types of soul-centeredness that we need to be remembering, you know, that we are. And the Hierophant is interesting. It's about divine wisdom and intuition. It's called the High Priest in other decks, but the standard decks use the name Hierophant. Kind of represents what's called the Holy Guardian Angel. So, and the mastery of 3 worlds of knowledge, tradition, and structure. And it also represents the enlightened teacher. But again, you know, we think of, you know, this is basically like in a sense, the Pope, if you're Catholic. The thing about what we've done over time is, and we can all wonder how we got there, You know, if you're in the UFO community, you believe that extraterrestrials were the ones that actually genetically manipulated our DNA to create who we are today. I actually believe that. And so, you know, it's difficult with the tarot because the tarot itself, in my view anyway, represents the patriarchal structure that developed after all of that happened. Prior to that, rumor has it, it was a more matriarchal, goddess-centered, egalitarian type of an existence here on the planet. You know, clearly Adam was not the first human being, so like they like to think it is. And unfortunately, the tarot has kind of a religious slant to it at times, and it's about the church, it's about patriarchy, and it's about giving over the awareness within of who we are as source energy or as the creator personified. We're giving it over to someone else, whether it's the minister, the preacher, the priest, the rabbi, whatever. You're giving over. In other words, you're using an intermediary to essentially get to yourself. So sometimes, you know, that's why I look at tarot as the inner journey versus the outer journey typically, because really there is only the self. You know, the self is creator because you're creating the world that you see, or at least your perception of the world that you see, because it's in a collective agreement as it is. So it's not just happening because you're focusing and deciding this is what it looks like, although it is a major component of it. So why we ever were separated like that from self, you know, you can argue about that, and people in the UFO community are arguing about that these days, about how all of that happened. Whether you want to talk about archonic energies and things like that got left behind. But basically, if we're going to have this whole notion of ascension happen, we have to stop being that separated individual from self and realign and reintegrate. And so that's why I like to take tarot from a really soul-centered or higher self standpoint, because at some point we've got to reject this egoic presence that we're experiencing. We have to reject it and replace it with the reality and the truth of who we actually are. So when I see the Hierophant, I think about divine mastery within and about letting our soul truly inform our process here, inform. With the 5 being the 5th card of the major arcana, you're looking at change. 5 is change. And so maybe we need to have that change in focus to a more soul-centered focus to understand that we are the creator of the universe personified, and that we do have more control over what's happening in our lives and how we see it all. I mean, we might not be able, look, I couldn't stop the heat pump from failing, but I could deal with it in a soul-centered fashion instead of, you know, falling apart and crying and going, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Well, I picked up the phone and I dealt with it, right? And now we have a heat pump. So you can do things in just a very matter of fact, look, I got to get this done way, or, you know, or I have to endure what's happening to me at this moment, you know, and I'm going to do it in a way that keeps me centered and whole. And I'm not going to fall victim or prey to whatever machinations other people want to put on me. So that's staying soul-centered, and it's not allowing the nonsense in the world to upset the apple cart, so to speak. So let's see what the rune says, though, and if it can offer any more information on this. But that's my take on the tarot and on any of these divination methods. It's about what we express as our own perception of this world, and how can we stay centered, you know, in a place where spirit is informing the rest of it all. So that's how I see all of it. Oh goodness. So we have Manas, which is humanity. Sort of falls in line, doesn't it? It's a cool rune. It's got Vunyo reversed and forward. if you can see that. Vunyo looks like a P, the letter P. So you can see that. You can also see the X in the middle, which is Gebo, which is balanced energy exchange. You can see doing this on both sides is front and back, front and back, forward and reversed. Well, you know, I don't remember which number this is. This is one of the, Manas is the 20th rune of the Elder Futhark, and so 20 reduces to 2. So that's balance, and that's why you see some balanced energy exchange. That's why you see so much stuff here forward and reverse with Gebo in the middle of balanced energy exchange. This is an earth element rune. It's about the fragility of mankind. It's about partnership. It's about shared joy. It's about what it is to be human. It blends intuition with rationality. It basically represents our overall psychic state. But and also so it would be about our psychic harmony within. So is spirit informing everything? Because that's really, when you allow that to happen, if you just let that happen, then everything else just falls into place, doesn't it? It also implies that we gain assistance from others. We're not in this alone. Clearly, we have everyone around us that's experiencing life in the same way that we are. Well, I mean, the outer part of it might look different, but we're basically experiencing the same process of life. And so we can do this and understand that we are part of the greater unified presence as we're doing it, or we can try and go it alone. With Vunyo, though, and Gebo and Lagus and all of that makes up Manas, you know, you're looking at what it takes for humanity to remember its collective unified presence. And to understand that we're not alone, that we do this in concert with others, and we can make that a good expression, a positive expression in our lives and in the lives of others. We can choose to see things in it from a neutral standpoint. The Course in Miracles talks about using source vision, or I might have changed the words to call it source vision. I don't know, but maybe it says that. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've done it. Do the Course in Miracles if you can. It took me 30 years to finish the text. We get halfway through and then get busy and then have to go back and start over again. So I know the first half of the book really well. I mean, at 30 years of it, you know. Eventually, about 5 years ago, my husband did it as well, and he did the book, and I did the whole book, and we both finished it, and then we did the well, he didn't, but I did the workbook for students, which is, you know, something to do every single day for a year, and I finished that too. So that was fun, and it really, basically, all it's doing is reorienting your attitude and your belief structure to understand that you're source energy personified in form, and it gets you out of the notion of thinking there is an other that is in charge of all of that, because you are in charge of all of that. No one else. No one else needs to guide your own spirituality, where you are that. There's nothing to work back to, because you are that. You just have to know this. Let it resonate that you don't need an intermediary, that you can come together with others and work in concert for something better, that you can be aligned within and let spirit inform, and let go of the preconceived notions of the past and how that's basically defining who we are now. It was never supposed to be that way. We were always supposed to be in touch with who we are as in spirit. We were never supposed to not know that. We would be much farther along in our advancement in many ways, I would think, if those kinds of things hadn't happened. If someone wants to come and manipulate our DNA to speed us along, well, that's fine, but don't take away remembrance of who we are. And that's what they did. And over time, you know, we get used to this master-slave relationship, and that's basically what we've got going now in the world in a lot of ways. And if you think about it, it doesn't feel right. It isn't right. It never works out. So obviously that's just something we need to reject, and we need to come together, you know, in loving unity, which is what Manas is telling us to do. And to realize that the joy within should be reflected in the joy without. So that's what we're going to do for today and for the weekend as well. And If it's really warm where you are, try to stay as cool as possible, and walk around outside in your bare feet. That was fun to do this weekend. The last few days I've been wandering around the backyard in the mornings when I gather my stuff for tea. I don't go to the grocery store to buy tea. Well, I wander around my yard and I'll pick dandelion and clover, red clover and cleavers and chickweed and mints and, plantain. And, people say, well, what do you use for your tea? Well, I use this stuff on the grass and in the ground and the wild lettuce growing over there and just whatever I've got, that's around. It's a really healthy way to start your day with a nice herbal cup of tea. So, and it doesn't have to be something that you go buy that's dried. Walk around your yard, pick things, put them in a jar, pour hot water, boiling water over it, let it steep for 15, 20 minutes, and you have some lovely tea. And your body will be much healthier for it. So have a wonderful day, have a lovely weekend, and we'll see you Monday. Thanks a lot for watching. Check out Stepping Aside at imsteppingaside.com. I'm still working on that geomancy thing for the month. I'm probably going to finish it today, though. And I'm going to go sit outside here and try to finish that thing up. I'm about halfway through it. And check that out when it's up. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, and blessed be.